feedback from the state as far as additional requirements for information or questions, although I do anticipate some at some point. Just FYI, this is our first application. It's really our application for this year. By September 1st, we have to apply a second time for 15 racing. Questions, anyone?
Attached to that?
No. They may come back and ask for one, but it wasn't a part of the application or anything at this point.
Any other questions on the harness racing? Thank you, Mike. Next up, item 5 is the Lifeways update.
Lifeways, as where we left off with that was the board had approved a recommendation to the state that we only pay back to 2007, which amounted to a little over $3 million, our share a little over $2 million, Hillsdale meaning the other million. The state responded with a letter saying, okay, but you need to file a hardship request. That's an application that we need to fill out with them. But they did telegraph that if we file that, they would accept that. So I'm actually optimistic that they will accept that, as opposed to, you recall, the alternative was $8 million, of which about $6 million was Jackson County's responsibility. Questions?
Can we make the assumption that the Lifeways Board approved our proposal?
Lifeways Board did approve the proposal. The chair and I attended that meeting, and it was unanimous support. Question
here. If our hardship case is not accepted, it will owe a total of about $8 million. With the hardship case accepted, what will be our obligation? Ballpark.
The Jackson County obligation will be ballpark $2 million.
Thank you. Any other questions on Lifeways? All right, moving on to item 6, Sheriff's contract. Mr. Overton.
Where's the sheriff?
I'll stand in, Michael.
Oh, okay.
We have a volunteer out there.
Hang on, it's not coming up on my machine here. Yeah, it's not reflected. It's not reflecting on mine. Which contract is it? Oh, with Jackson College? Yeah, no, I don't, but I know enough about it. Yes, this is, as you know, we contract services with a number of municipalities around the county for law enforcement. This would be one more service. Basically, the sheriff wants to hire an additional officer that would be paid for over the next 5 years by the college to provide policing out there, full-time policing out there. Well, full-time in the sense that there'd be one officer. And actually, it still hasn't come up in front of me here yet, but, you know, from my reading it of the agreement back then.
Mike.
Go ahead.
That's a question. So, Mike, we assume that
Connected
the contract goes away, that the one staff will go away.
Yes.
Administrator Overton, this is basically the same contract that was in effect previously that the sheriff just approved on his own, isn't it? And now it's just kind of we're approving it ourselves?
No.
It's a different contract.
Yeah, because the contract's different in the sense that here, pick that up. In the sense that in the past we've not had to hire additional law enforcement. This one here is different in the sense that they want a dedicated person out there, much like we do for some other townships and so forth. So it would necessitate us hiring a full-time person.
Commissioner Alexander? can't hear you.
That would not be a part of the contract. Staffing would be on the county's part to take action as far as that goes.
No, I mean, yeah.
But that's the intent, yes. Which is much the intent with all of our contracts. You know, we hire officers. If we no longer have a contract or therefore the need for the officer, we would have no choice but to require layoffs.
Commissioner Alexander?
Do we currently have a private security forces doing security on the camp? Does JC have a private security company?
To be honest with you, I assume so, but I do not know.
So I guess if the sheriff was here, or the undersheriff, my question then would be why a deputy and not using the security forces they do, or anyone have any insight?
Well, I think in the past they've had their own security detail out there from the college, but I think that changed some time ago. They've had a couple of different ones, and I'll say that I didn't get a chance to review this. It wasn't in the packet when I looked last night, so.
Commissioner Rice?
Also, part of this is the fact that the college is looking for, I'll put it this way, a professional law enforcement officer to handle investigations because they're putting in a third dorm out there. And so the college is the one that's looking for somebody with professional background that actually can perform services that those security personnel cannot. So to me, this is just hiring one FTE, and the cost is going to be all covered by the college anyway. So,
Commissioner Elwell?
I've got it pulled up now. I'm assuming, I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing here, but I'm assuming that somebody's gone through and crunched the numbers from finance to make sure that we're covering all of our costs, or thumbs up? Okay. One last thing, if I could. I'm assuming also that we'll actually see the actual contract itself when it comes for approval?
Yes.
Okay.
On Monday.
Yeah, the contract is attached there. I know this was just added to the agenda yesterday, I suppose. But it's there.
I've got it here now, thanks.
Any further questions? No further questions or discussions. Move on to item 7, Leone Southern Regional Interceptor Bond Update.
As you know, last minute, if you will, we did receive payment from Leone, half of the bond payment, and from Columbia. And the bond was paid, right, Jim? Thank you. I've been on vacation 2 weeks. It should have been paid. I just want to make sure. Bond was paid, so at this point, no one is in legal default. Now, technically, Leone was in default from day one, as far as June goes, in the sense that they had not provided payment to us. We, at that time, did go ahead and start to move forward with actions commensurate with default. I have been in discussions with an audit firm. Leone, as you know as well, also is favorably inclined to move forward with an audit. One, they don't really have a choice, but it was also nice that they did actually approve a resolution supporting the audit and that they would pay for the audit. So our plan is to continue regardless of payment with the audits, so that there will be a third-party audit performed basically through the county function that would be stand on its own for everyone to review. There's been audits in the past, but there's been questions as to well, you know, who paid for it, you know, it's that sort of thing. Who did the study sort of thing. So we should be able to clear this up. Hopefully, because we have another bond payment, which December 1st they will have to have made payment to the county, so we can pay that January 1st. And we want to have the audit complete and basically worked through some type of resolution of this dispute in which they do not agree on who should pay what.
Questions? Commissioner Rice?
just to clarify, in case there's any confusion, I do know the administrator, and the rest of the commissioners know this, but Leone did pay half. Columbia did not actually pay half because Liberty and Hanover paid their percentage, so Columbia paid their percentage as well. So the three of those paid half, just to clarify that.
Commissioner Elwell.
And Mike, you're still looking for questions from commissioners to give to the auditing company, correct?
Yes, we're in the stages of forming the scope of work for this audit. It's not just a standard traditional accounting audit. So we thought, why not ask questions? What are the answers we're looking for? That way, hopefully, we'll cover everybody's bases, so when we're done with this, it's all-inclusive, and everyone can say, okay, I understand now. I may not like it, but I understand.
I have a question. Is it just Leone is going to have the audit performed, or is it the other three townships also?
Undetermined. It does not appear that Hanover and Liberty would have need because they pay monies to Columbia. However, Columbia does collect those monies from two other townships and holds them in trust to make the payment. So there is some question there that we may look at that system of collection as well. But it would be obviously a much scaled down audit from that perspective.
Okay, thank you. Now, clarification, is the first of the year payment, the December payment, is that an interest-only payment, which is much less?
That's correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Rice.
2 minutes, thank you. I'll leave this, I'd certainly leave this up to the administrator's discretion, but as he alluded to, Liberty and Hanover have been paying their SRI bond payment all along. It hasn't been an issue of them not paying. It's just the fact that Columbia has captured that money and kept it and not sent it on to Leone. So at the very least, I'd like the administrator to seriously look into consideration of looking at Columbia's Columbia for an audit at least. Just throwing that out there.
Further questions? Commissioner Elwell.
And to be clear, if you're talking about additional audits of those townships, you're talking about of the sewer-related finances, correct, Mike?
Yes, very strictly focused on just the sewer.
And if it comes to doing that, have you determined who's going to pay for that part of the audit yet?
No.
Okay.
Any further questions? Apparently not. We'll move on to item 8, the Building Authority Bond. Lifeways refunding. Got two different topics, or?
Given that I don't see the treasurer or any member of the building authority here, I guess I will take that.
Place of your
Welcome back from vacation.
Thanks. Let me pull it up here. Basically, in all honesty, last I'd heard that they weren't pursuing this, so I was a little surprised to see it when I came back. But I do think it's a good idea. They were working through the numbers last I had heard to make sure it made sense. It's basically a refinancing, just like you'd refinance your home or something, a better interest rate. That's basically what they're doing here. What's it say here? So yeah, it says we'll save approximately $400,000, or I should say Lifeways, in bond payments as a result of this refunding. So, and frankly, we'll ask if you have a question, by all means ask. But if I can't answer it, I'm sure the treasurer will be in attendance at the meeting on Monday.
questions. Commissioner Mahoney.
I just like the license board.
Further, Commissioner Lutchka.
What is the exact total of bonds outstanding?
In 2006, it was 7,045,000, so the 5 would make sense. I'm just thumbing through the analysis here. It doesn't, okay, yeah, it works for me. It doesn't say it in here, what it is, but if it's 5, that would make sense.
Further questions? Okay, now is Lifeways the second topic here? Or are they connected? Okay, okay. Item 9, Jackson County Medical Care Facility millage update.
Well, I'm excited to see people from Jackson County Medical Care Facility here. Come step up to the podium, please, fill us in. If you would like to share with what your expectation is, what you're doing here with this millage?
Welcome, Brad.
Good morning. Yes, after some convoluted kind of trying to get information, trying to come up with, we are submitting a resolution which requests .01 mil to be put on the ballot for November and to have it start on January 1st. That's what we finally got to.
Excuse me, Brad, you just said
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I want.
clarify that, please.
I mean .1 mil.
110.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Point one.
.1 dear. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does this conflict with the existing millage?
No, not anymore. We're separating it because we got excited. We decided we try to combine the two, and we found out from the attorney, from the county's attorney, that we can't do that. That millage issue isn't done until January 1st of 2019.
So in effect, we're going to have two millages,
There will be two.
correct? Different expiration dates, maturity dates.
That is correct.
Questions? Pardon me? Yeah, what is the purpose of the millage? Can you tell us how it's going to be used and the intent
Yes.
to use?
First, it's the building, we've been using the building for 12 years. There are still repairs that have to be done to the roof, that's part of it. Actually, replacement of the roof. And then we acquired, over the past year or so, Joey's Junction and the Respite Center, and we're going to remodel those and use those to assist the people and that live within the facility with things like PT and so forth.
Okay. Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Lutchka?
How long is that millage run?
20 years. The issue is, part of this pays the bond, okay? The issue is the bond won't be paid off until, I can't remember what year, but, and the funds will run out before we can pay off the bond, as well as upgrade the facility. What happened in the get-go was, my understanding anyway, was that when this first came up years ago, there was a mix-up in the amount of money that they needed for the millage, okay? Somebody reversed the figures. And now we're coming back because the bottom line is we got to keep it up. I mean, you know, like I say, every new facility has a permanent resident that moves in with it, and that's maintenance. And the maintenance to the county building, which is what we take care of, this is what we're going to do.
Comment. Sounds to me like bad budgeting if you haven't been able to budget enough money for maintenance.
That's not true. I mean, the bottom line is that we don't have any monies coming in for maintenance. We use MOE, some of it. We can do that by law. But the truth of the matter is that we were under budgeted to start with. Sorry?
Further questions, Commissioner Lutchka? No. Okay. Commissioner Rice?
I know we're going to address this in future months, so I'm not going to elaborate too much at this point, but I will say right now that I have a real concern with this 0.1%, or with this 0.1% millage request, or if you will, a second millage that we will be asked to vote on to put out there to the voters. And, part of my concern is, that 0.1 mil from my research will generate approximately $450,000 a year. So over 20 years, we're talking $9 million. We're talking about remodeling a couple areas at the medical care facility, but yet we're talking $9 million coming to the facility over 20 years. I also understand from my research that, as you alluded to somewhat, Brad, that part of this new millage, because it will be a new millage that people will be voting on, my struggle with that is part of this new millage is going to actually help pay for the first bond, and it's also going to help pay for the interest on the first bond. To me, it's like a homeowner getting a second mortgage so they can help pay for their first mortgage. And from my perspective, to kind of carry off from what Commissioner Leska said, as I've looked at this and researched it, and I will continue to do this moving forward, to me, a lot of this is just bad business practice. And again, I have a lot more to say on this, but I know we'll be dealing with this later on. Thank you.
Commissioner Alexander.
Thank you. I have my notes in front of me from the last time you spoke. And if my notes are right that I took, when you came to us the first time, there were two components that you were asking for. One is a renewal of the .15. We currently have that millage that takes us all the way through 2018, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What you have since found out is that we cannot take that to the voters because there's such a significant amount of time before that is due to expire. So that issue is simply left alone. The .15 will sit tight and continue to create revenue to pay for the MOE expenses of the medical care facility. Am I correct so far?
That is correct.
The second piece in which you addressed the other day was the .1 mil. My notes here say that $800,000 is needed to continue repairing the remaining roofs that need work. There are two sections that still need to be repaired.
Four.
So two sections have been repaired. Okay, and we need additional funds for that. In addition to those $800,000 for the remaining roof repairs, you're in need of approximately $3.4 million to remodel and rebuild the existing space.
Correct.
Okay, so if we do the math there, we're looking at a little over four, let's just, for the sake of rounding off, $4.5 million worth of repair and expenses to renovate and upgrade and remodel those facilities. Am I correct so far?
You're doing
Okay,
good.
so if you're asking for a 20-year, for us to approve the millage to be placed on the ballot for the voters to decide, correct?
Right.
Come November, how would we explain to them the money being generated is significantly more than the money that you have shared with us that you need that for? How would we share that with the voters?
That maintenance would continue. I mean, the building is, the parking lot needs to be redone. We have to redo the other side. It should be, I mean, it's a county building. You guys need to make sure that there's enough funds so that it can be kept up. That's all. That's the only explanation I have.
And I also think of school districts, and every time a school district comes in front of their voters, their constituents, and asks for a millage to repair, remodel, upgrade, taxpayers always say, well, why haven't you been using the money you already have to repair and improve the existing facilities? Taxpayers are known for saying, you're not taking care of the facilities you have, why should we give you more money? So in this case, what I hear you to say is these monies are needed to take care of this county facility, this county building, which is taking care of Jackson County residents in a manner in which needs to be done. Am I hearing you correctly?
Basically, that's, what you're saying is correct, Julie. I mean, the bottom line is that the first two issues, the roof and the maintenance continues. And we have been using the county funds to repair the roof and stuff like that. That's why we use the MOE monies for that. But the MOE still has to go on too, because it's mandated by the state. So someplace, somewhere along the line, and I don't care, make it a 10-year issue. This is up, as Carl said, this is up for a discussion. Maybe 20 is too long. Maybe we should go the other way. I'm only telling you guys what needs to be done.
And if we think back to a couple of months ago, the in-depth presentation by Plant Moran, you gave us all documents on all of the plans and options, the expenses. We have an understanding that our market within our community of aged and needed people is, obviously we have a growing aged community. The market is changing, and we want to make sure we are utilizing all of our space, and by remodeling the space that we have existing in our building, that will generate more revenue for our county facility. Am I correct?
That's true.
Sandy, would you like to join in, please?
Sorry. I just wanted to add that this is our 175th year of operation. It's our 175th birthday this year, and we want to maintain sustainability so that we're here for another 175 to continue serving those people who can't take care of themselves.
I have a question. Do you have more questions, Commissioner Alexander?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Julie.
For your indulgence, it was more than 2 minutes.
No problem. Brad,
Yes, sir.
it's our job as county commission, as I understand it, to approve your millage request. But you guys don't even know what you're requesting yet. You talk 20 years, you talk 10 years.
Well, Carl, the bottom line is, we can only tell you what we need. The ballot language has to come from you guys. That's not my job to do that.
But you tell us you don't know what you need. You say 10 years or 20 years.
Well,
So
you're
it's
the one
4.5
that's doing the
years?
math.
It's,
And if you think it's extending it, fine.
well, you're
I'm not
making the
gonna argue with
request.
you.
You're making the request.
I made a request.
You're saying we'd like 9 million, but we may only need 4.5 million.
Well, you're saying that. I said 20
Well,
years.
your project,
You said
I don't
this.
understand
You're the
why
one
you
that's doing
don't
the
budget.
research.
Why don't you budget your maintenance out of your annual budget? Shouldn't you set aside some every year to perform your maintenance?
Andy?
We do set aside money, and we do take care of all routine maintenance. The problems that we have faced were problems that were inherent in the building of the building. They've existed for a long time, and we're kind of looking backwards, trying to fix all the things that needed to be done. That was what the first roof repair was. That was one section over the dining room. The rest of the roof is also not up to par, and we want to maintain the building the way it should be maintained.
Okay, but then you talk about extra money being needed for a parking lot. Parking lot maintenance is an ongoing thing.
Right, we do the routine
And-
maintenance on the parking lot, and we just
That should be
resurfaced it
included
again.
in your budget.
Well, Carl, the bottom line is, if you'll recall, just recently, we restructured the thing with the city so that they could have the point of the land, so that Blackstone could go one way and Lansing Avenue could go another. Now, that entire parking lot needs to be refigured and reconstructed. I mean, I can't, these are things that aren't anticipated. We're not making stuff up as we go here,
Well, I know, but it's kind of unclear what you need the money for. You give us 2 projects, and they come up to $4.5 million, but you want a $9 million millage.
Okay.
I mean, just a helpful suggestion, you're going to have to explain to the voters. And you say, we need 9, but we're going to ask for, we need 4.5, but we're going to ask for 9. I'm not sure that's going to float.
Okay. Do you want to help us?
It isn't my job. My job is to move this forward to the budget. If you're going to approach the county board and say, we want you to authorize a millage request, I'm not clear on what you're asking for. You're asking for 4.5, but it totals to 9. You need to have a real clear project to justify the $9 million request. Just like a school district will come forward, and they need a millage because they want to repair the roof and the boilers, but oh, by the way, we want to put in a basketball court and tennis court, and that's the things that gets the millages shot down. People will vote for the necessity things, and you add in a bunch of fringe stuff, and that gets the millage shot down. And to have a project you need $4.5 million for, but you're asking for 9, I don't think the voters will pass it.
Phil?
I think you're hurting yourself.
Phil?
1 second, Commissioner Elbow, if I would. Brad?
Yes.
Forgive us, that was Commissioner Duckham that was, you were speaking to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's okay.
Commissioner Lutchka. Elwell.
He's down there, Phil.
Yeah.
It's David Elwell, Brad.
Oh, hi, Dave. Okay.
Brad, I think that just listening to the conversation, you know, it's true that you're going to have to sell this to the voters, but we have to make a decision as a commission first whether we're going to allow it to go to the voters. So I think you have to sell all of us on it first.
Okay.
And just my personal take is, I mean, if you're talking $9 million, I think I'm going to want to know, how do you plan on spending all that? We just talked generically about parking lot and other things that need work, but I think we're going to need to see more of a plan than that. And if it's truly only $4 million that's needed, then that's what the bond should be for that amount, either cutting it, the amount in half or cutting the time in half.
Okay.
So I'd like to see a more detailed plan about what you need it for before I would be sold on it.
Okay.
Commissioner Lutchka.
This is Dave Lutchka, Brad.
Yes, sir.
My suggestion would be also that you request, and then we would approve whatever millage you decide is necessary, and set it in a restricted account for medical care facility maintenance only,
Okay.
so that the voters aren't going to say, well, yeah, we'll approve it for maintenance, and then you're going to throw it in the general fund.
Okay.
So that's would be for us to decide the wording, but that's would be what my suggestion would be, if
Look,
we settle on a number.
guys, the need is there. I'm defining the need the best I can. I can't predict the future. We have the project 3.5. We have, as Julie has pointed out, we have the statistics behind why we need that and what it's for. And we need $800,000 for the roof. So, fine. If I change the resolution to, instead of 20 years, make it 10, will that satisfy you guys? I mean, it's there. The facts and figures are there. And we would set it up so that we would strictly in a fund that would do those particular things. Would that satisfy you, Phil?
But Brad, are you talking about 10 years at 1 mil then, or are you talking
Yes.
about trying to, okay, well, that's totally different than 9 million, but
I'm sorry.
that's totally different than 9 million.
Well, certainly, Phil's sitting there and he's telling me that, okay, fine, if you do this, it's going to be this much money. We're really concentrating our efforts on the restructuring of the facility itself, plus plus getting the roof done. I mean, it is specific, and you're right, David. And so, you know, again, I don't do this stuff, so somebody said make it a 20-year deal. I said, oh, okay, I'll put 20 in. That's fine. So change it to 10. That's fine, and then it fits into what you're talking about, Phil. I'm good with that.
But two more quick questions, if I could. One, if it were 1 mil, do we know how much that would amount to for the average taxpayer? They typically, when millages and bonds are sold, they tell you how much it would be if you own a $100,000 house.
$10.
Okay.
More.
And then the second thing is, the clerk probably knows the timeline. If we're doing this for the ballot in November, or trying to, when is the deadline when we have to make a decision by?
August.
August 15th. Okay.
In order to get my understanding is that the reason that we're doing this now is because it would, in order to get it in the language, it has to be done by August.
Okay, so
Correct,
what,
and that, we meet the 11th, correct?
we meet the 11th, okay.
Correct, and that's, prior to the period in which we meet, so that thus the July, it's got to be done in July without calling a special meeting. And also to clarify, my notes, according to your our last conversation, the value of a $100,000 home, the taxable value would, this millage, and again, I'm not sure if this meant the total of the .25 instead of just the .1, but it was $25, so it would be $10, I guess, if we cut it in half there. My only question, Commissioner Duckham, was, for the sake of clarification, our informational source here was Commissioner Rice. He is the individual that's telling us that generates $9 million. Although I truly respect his math skills, he's a very talented math student. Do we have confirmation from anyone in finance that those numbers are correct? Or for medical care facility, instead of going in media and in print that this is the dollar amount?
Julie?
Yes.
I got it from finance.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Rice. You're good.
Bill? One more question, just backing up to the dates again for a second. Amanda said we have to know by the 12th if it's going to go on the ballot, and that leaves us either the meeting a week from Tuesday or our study session, I would assume, to make this decision, correct?
Okay, that's fine.
Mike? Okay. Right.
I would like to jump in here a minute real quick, and it would be my suggestion, I think, of what is being said is you need to come back with a clear plan on what you need and what you're going to use it for, and sell the commissioners on the fact that this is nice, clear, and concise. It seems to me to be a little foggy right now, and just to get the voters to accept it, it needs to have a nice, clear explanation, and I don't think it's there. And I'm trying to help you. I mean, I'm just saying that, well, we can use it here, we can use it there, we're going to have other maintenance coming on in the future, basically. Basically, I think you're asking for a budget increase over the next 20 years, because only half of it you can specify a specific need. And I think you need to have very good specifics. If you need $4.5 million for the roof in the parking lot,
No.
maybe it should go a 10-year bond, but it's not clear what you want.
Well, I don't know how I can make it clearer. The bottom line is the roof is specific. We have a Plant Moran report and assessment of exactly what it's for. That's what we're talking about for the .1 mil and the number of years. It was recommended by several people that we go for a 20. I don't have a problem with going for a 10, but that's what it's needed for. Now, you can do it or not do it. It's up to you.
Well, what are you asking for? Are you asking for a 10 or a 20?
I will redo it and ask for 10.
Okay.
So it fits your math.
Okay, well,
Are you good with that?
we're under a deadline is all to get it done,
Well,
and we're not going to make a decision today.
understood.
So-
I've been working on this for about 4 months. I mean,
Is
and
the board, okay, I'm done. Gail?
Taxpayers, those are taxpayer dollars.
Right.
And taxpayers are already paying for the first number.
That's right.
And what you keep throwing up in our face is that it's our building, and we just want to take care of your building. I've been sitting here a long time, and I've never had somebody come before the board and ask for a millage without clear, concise information as to how every penny is going to be spent over the life of the bond. And, you know, to me, it sounds like a threat that you guys pass this bond, or you guys are gonna have to come up for the money for your building. That's what it sounds like to me. And so, I really would recommend that your board go back and look
Commissioner Plotchik.
Hi, Brad. You must be looking young today because Gail called you John, so.
Sorry about that.
You know, I don't know what's happening in all the villages and the townships for millage increases, but I know in August, the people in the city will be getting a millage increase and a request for a leaf pickup fee. So when you come back in November, I think the ducks better be in a row because you're going to have a hard hill to climb because they're already looking at 2 increases before they even get to your ballot proposal. Not that I disagree that the need is there, it's just that people are going to be hard pressed and there's a lot of hands out there right now asking for taxpayers' dollars.
With all due respect to Commissioner Plotchik, I do question whether or not the need's there. And I will jump here too. Obviously, we're not voting on this today, but if I were to vote on this today, I suspect I would have to say no. And the reason is, and Brad, I'm sorry, Brad, this is Carl Rice.
Gotcha, Carl.
Okay. My concern is, like I stated before, what this is for, and let's keep in mind, again, let's not let this pass. This extra bond, a second bond, will also be used to pay on the first bond, and it also will be used to pay on interest payments. So we're going to be asking the taxpayers, will you give us another bond so we can help pay on the first bond that you're already paying on? And again, to me, that is just bad business. I mean, would you remortgage your home, like I said earlier, so you can make your first mortgage payment? I just think that's bad practice. And so that's where a lot of that other money is going to go to as well. So I think we need to keep that in mind. Then in 2017, we're going to turn right around and ask the taxpayers, will they renew the 0.15% bond after this request? So then they're going to be asked, will they renew that one when they just turn around in 2014 and we're asked to do an additional bond for 0.1. So I think that there could be a concern there that there's going to be 2 of them within 3 years they're going to be asked to address. And so I have a concern for that. And I know everybody on this commission, every one of us here, we care about the seniors. I'm on the Senior 2 Region Area on Aging Board. We care about what happens to our seniors. We want our seniors taken care of. That's not the issue here. That's not the issue at all. The issue here is that we've had several incidents in the past regarding the medical care facility when it comes to how money's, and I won't get into the details because I don't think this is the place or time, but the medical care facility has shown in the past that they have spent money and come to us for MOE money to pay on things that, quite frankly, should have been taken care of in the first place. And I just tend to think that there's been, operationally wise, this has not been done very well as far as handling the funds that come in from taxpayers. And I just have a real problem with this. So, thank you.
In answer to your question, the bond, the 0.1 that we're asking for would be dedicated strictly to the reconstruction of the facility. It wouldn't have anything to do with paying off. I will be coming to you in a month with a Mo resolution, which requests, again, payment for the pre-1989 retirees insurance, okay? And also for the bond interest, which is due on November 1st of the year. That's coming back up again. Those are where those funds come from, okay? That would continue. But otherwise, the other request that we're talking about is really to upgrade and to repair the facility. There's no money for that. That's all I can tell you. I mean, it's not there. And I don't know if you consider that poor management, but that's what we had to work with. You're welcome.
Welcome.
Hello. Good morning. I have a PowerPoint. Do you already have it on here, or do you have it on?
No, I'll have to put it on.
C2C. Presentations, top one. And county updates, second one.
Content. Let's go to, now if you can stand here and talk, we can do it right here, and you
And I
can just,
don't have my,
then you can just click on it.
okay,
Should be able
then
to
I
just
need
go.
this because
Okay.
All right. 1 year later.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name's Irene Lacrone. I'm the Cradle to Career Coordinator. I coordinate the strategic plan for education. Before I give you an update, I just want to remind everybody of why educational attainment is important. And what is educational attainment? And it's the measure of the level of education reached by people currently living in a particular area. It's used as a long-term indicator of the investment that a region has made in developing and attracting human capital. It provides a big picture assessment of a region's quality of life, workforce preparedness, and economic potential. What does Jackson look like? Educational attainment for Jackson County residents age 25 and over, and you can see on the screen what we have. We have 13% with a bachelor's degree or higher, 6% with a graduate degree or higher, and at least 35% with at least a high school graduation. Educational attainment is associated with median earnings. Less than high school graduates earn an average of $16,774. A high school graduate, about $25,000. A bachelor's degree, $47,000. A graduate or professional degree, $63,000. Unemployment rates are also associated with educational attainment. 23% of those without a high school, yikes. Sorry, I bumped it. 23% of people without a high school graduation, that are not high school graduates are unemployed. That's only 12% for high school graduates and goes all the way down to 5% for those with a college degree. So what is Cradle to Career? Jackson County Cradle to Career is the network of educators and community leaders working together toward common goals in education. The goals, we want students to make the connection between learning and success. We want them to get the support they need to feel hopeful for the future and motivated for academic success. We want them to be career ready. We want them to complete some post-high school education so they are career ready, and we want them to aspire to lifelong learning. About 2 years ago, we merged 5 different groups, all of which were working on education, into one. We signed a common agenda. And this is what the C2C network looks like now. We have a coordinating council, and then we have action teams. And this is the composition of all those teams participant. The majority, the largest group is 28%, which are nonprofits and community supports. 17% of the members are teachers. 13% are pre-K through 12 administration. 8% ISD, 8% higher education, and 6% are business people. Just a reminder that Cradle to Career is based on a collective impact model, and these are the characteristics of collective impact. So what have we been doing? I've been asked to come and do an update. Here's what I've been doing.
The community engagement team led the way by developing the C2C message, a website, a Facebook page. We've done a variety of both formal and informal presentations. You may have seen banners around the community. We've also been doing some advertising, radio, television, and newspaper. We answered the question, what is C2C, by developing a fact sheet, and I'll hand those out to you. And we developed the elevator speech. What is C2C? C2C is the network of community leaders working together to achieve common goals in education. We've gotten a lot of support in our community engagement efforts from the Citizen Patriot, Michigan Public Radio, WILX. The CITPAT launched a book drive, and they continue to be very supportive of the network. At the action team meetings, we've identified goals and objectives, and we're working on strategies to achieve those goals. The Great Start Collaborative acts as the early education component of Cradle to Career. And in the C2C plan, we're focusing on the Great Start goal to have all children ready for kindergarten. The elementary action team, we're looking at proficiency in reading and math, and we're looking at improving school attendance, because if they're not in school, they're not learning what they need to learn in school. The middle school level, we're also looking at proficiency in reading and math. We're looking at children being socially and emotionally prepared for the rigors of high school and post-secondary education. And we want children to have an expectation of pursuing college or career. We want them to have hope, and we want them to be planning for their future. At the high school level, we want students to overcome the barriers to obtaining a college degree or some post-secondary education that makes them more employable. So we're ensuring that they're academically prepared, financially prepared, and socially prepared. At post-secondary, we're looking at college enrollment. We're looking at persistence from year to year. We're looking at college degree attainment, and we're looking at valuable credential attainment and also re-engagement of adult learners. We've collected a lot of data in the last year and a half to track our goals. The 5-page data tracker includes 10 goals, 20 objectives, and 83 data points that measure the goals. And for those of you who are not data geeks, we also have the C2C dashboard, which covers the key metrics. And that dashboard can be found on the C2C website, or can be found on the county site. One of the things that we've been doing as a network is participating in a community-wide Able Change framework training and coaching. And Able Change training is designed to help communities more effectively address significant social issues affecting children, youth, and families. It's going to help us carry out a system scan to identify local system conditions to target for change. We'll use a root cause analysis to design strategies that address underlying causes, and we'll develop a process to engage diverse stakeholders, including families, constituents, and system change efforts. So I mentioned that we've begun to look at some activities and some strategies. As a result of C2C, the Great Start Collaborative has developed some partnerships and welcomed more teachers into the Great Start subcommittees, and they're working on a pilot program in Vandercook Lake Schools. It's a parent involvement program which consists of dinner workshops on a variety of topics aimed at improving academic and social readiness for children ages 0 to 8. At the elementary level, one of the strategies was to enhance the efforts of in-school learning by providing a literacy and mentoring program, which is running currently in 4 schools. We have over 100 trained literacy mentors from the community and from local businesses that are working with students under the supervision of a literacy specialist. At the middle school level, we want all students to have the expectation of pursuing a career or college, and that led to 2 strategies. The College and Career Access Center piloted Kids to College, which uses a research-based curriculum to teach students about turning their talents into careers, how education is the key to success, and how to get ready for college or post-secondary education. It's basically making the connection between education and a child's future. Also at the middle school level, the Shopperette Foundation led the Lunchtime Career Exploration Project, and it was piloted also at Vandercook Lake. We had representatives from local businesses sharing information about their careers and their educational path to get there. We had Jackson Area Career Center staff highlighting their programs. We had Career Center students sharing their experiences with the participating middle school students. And we had all 16 Jackson Area Career Center fields of study were highlighted. This particular picture is highlighting the robotics program. At the high school level, the College and Career Access Center at Jackson Crossing has expanded and significantly increased support services for high school students. The CCAC is staffed 38 hours a week, and advisors spent approximately 750 hours in local high schools and over 400 hours in the center. They're helping children fill out college applications. They're helping them find their career paths. We're improving our FAFSA completion rates. We distributed Know How to Go web keys, and we did a senior exit survey to gather valuable information about students' plans for the future. At the post-secondary team, we began a summer melt intervention. It just began in June. Most graduates say that they're going to go to college or get some education after high school, but only 63% actually attend schools. This is called Summer Melt. The College and Career Access Centers launched a Summer Melt program to assist those most at risk in achieving their dreams of college attendance. The other big thing that the post-secondary team did was we've defined valuable credential. Valuable credential is any kind of post-secondary education other than a college degree, which makes a resident more employable. I mentioned collective impact before. The United Way is doing a mutually reinforcing activity by aligning program funding with the C2C plan, and they've also added a component to their funding model that all recipients of United Way funds must use shared measurements so that we can track our goals. And we've also seen some huge improvements countywide in communication between entities, between nonprofits and schools, between schools and businesses. All of this led to the decision to provide 211 website training during Welcome Week for all Jackson County school personnel. Cradle to Career has county-wide support. All 13 Jackson County public school districts are committed to working together through Cradle to Career on the common education goals. Last year, the school superintendents committed $130,000 a year for 3 years to support the work of the College and Career Access Center, and in June, they committed an additional $60,000 from a grant that they received to support the Cradle to Career infrastructure for additional 2 years. I mentioned the media support. We're also getting a lot of attention on Jackson County from outside of the community. We just submitted another Michigan College Access Network implementation grant so we can continue this work for 2 years. And we've had some conversations with the Lumina Foundation and fully expect to be applying for that national level funding next year. The Coordinating Council is currently revisiting the common agenda and renewing our commitment to working collectively on these education goals until 2025. We're continuing the system scan that we started in May. This is a way to look at the common characteristics and systems of our community and look at how the system operates relative to school and career success. We're watching for, we've had about 90 people participate in system scan meetings so far, and we continue to collect information, but as we go, we're looking at some of the common themes across the action teams. And these are some of the common themes. So the mission is that all Jackson County children deserve to grow, learn, and succeed through the support of the entire community. Working together, Jackson County Cradle to Career is connecting quality, lifelong education to successful employment for all students. That's it. Questions, anybody?
Thank you for your presentation. Any questions? Commissioner Alexander.
Thank you, Irene. You briefly touched on these two topics in your presentation, but would you please share with the board again, how is this funded? Where's the money come from? Because this is a significant impact on our community. It's large. It's very detailed. tell me about the financial piece of it, number one. And then number two, how many other communities are doing something of this nature? Thank you.
Okay, the funding, the majority of the funding comes from the Michigan College Access Network. And then this coming year, starting July 1st, all the school superintendents committed, they received an unexpected grant, and all of them committed a portion of their portion of the grant to continue to support this network of Cradle to Career. They're also supporting, through another grant, also supporting the work of the College and Career Access Center. And then the second question, Cradle to Career is considered a local college access network. There's about 50 of them in the state. Jackson is considered to be one of the leaders statewide. This week I met with Lenawee County. In 2 weeks I'm meeting with Kalamazoo County. And Kalamazoo, about 10 years ago, was really considered to be kind of a front runner in this college access work. But they've had some struggles as well, and hope to learn something from the work that we've been doing in Jackson County. The big thing, the big thing that I'm hearing from my peers statewide is how impressed other communities are with the fact that we're all working together on these common goals. We're not all working in silos anymore when it comes to education. So it's community leaders, it's school leaders, business. We have a lot of involvement from business, a lot of support from business leaders.
And not only when we say educational, not just our traditional K-12.
Right.
I mean, we have post-secondary, we have JAMA, we have Early Head Start, we have Community Action Agency. We
Right.
have all aspects of education and training involved in this process.
Correct.
Thank you. And so, as you said, the next step, we will be revisiting as a board our involvement and our continued participation that most likely would come through in September to this board, correct? Ish, that time frame. So,
Any other?
Commissioner Lutchka.
It was a good report. This is probably outside your parameters of work, but to me, the biggest problem with, and a lot of the students that are graduating that have some common sense are looking at the cost of their college education and saying at the end, God, it's going to take me 40 years to pay my mortgage off on my education, which means I can't get married, I can't buy a house, I can't start a family, I can't do anything. And I guess whether your group can start working on, I don't know what to do. I'm older than anybody else in here, and
Are your student loans paid off?
my student loan would have been, and I started working, made $3.23 an hour, and halfway through the year, my student total education would have been paid for. Now,
Education is very, very expensive now, and we
why?
are looking very deliberately at what is the payoff on a college education.
Are professors overpaid?
Oh, that I don't
mean,
know.
those are some of the, why is it so high?
I
mean,
The government isn't funding.
but,
Locally, we're looking at this valuable credential piece, and local business leaders are telling us we want kids coming out of school that are prepared to work, that have those soft skills, the social skills, they show up on time, they show up every day. And we're also looking between JAMA and South Central Michigan Works at a variety of other ways other than a traditional college education that youth can become more employable in our community. We want smart kids to stay in our community. We want them to be taxpayers. We want them to reinvest in the community. And it's true that it's not always a college degree that's going to give someone the best payoff. We have lots of great resources, the Career Center, for other careers that don't require a college degree and don't require that level of expense for their education. We're doing a lot of cooperative and work-study things in Jackson County. A lot of really, really exciting things happening with businesses becoming more involved in education.
And in addition to that, the other piece I see that is extremely valuable, with the limited resources school districts have, there's no longer that counselor that sits down in that room all day and you have access to them for career planning and post-secondary information. They're not there, whether they're handling social, emotional issues, scheduling issues, whatever. Those resources are no longer there. So what we now have in our community is the College and Career Access. And please listen to that title. It's not just the College Access Center. It doesn't mean you have to go to college. It's a career. It's planning for a career and what training, post-secondary training, do you need in order to be a valuable, productive citizen. So we have that within our community. We have knowledgeable people and resources. And again, if you even just look at the location in the Jackson Crossings, it's right there on the Target wing next to our military recruiting branches. So it's a very comfortable place to go. It's open regular hours, knowledgeable, resourceful people that anyone within our community can go and tap.
Yep, adults as well.
Absolutely.
And also, it should be noted that the armed forces are also considered post-secondary education. Anything that enriches your chances of becoming gainfully employed with a living wage career is considered to be post-secondary education. Anything else?
Thank you, Irene, for your help.
Can I leave these?
Absolutely.
We need a motion to receive. Support. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
So Irene has been a little over a year our coordinator for Cradle to Career, and she's just doing an outstanding job. She represents us well. She's very knowledgeable. She's very well respected. And Irene, thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you for the presentation. Next up, we move to item 11, other items. Do we have any other items, Mr. Chair or Administrator Overton? No, no other items. Return to second round of public comment. Any public comment? Apparently not. Move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Alexander.
Thank you. As I'm giving a brief review of a township meeting that was held at Spring Arbor Township the other day, Scott, if you'd be so kind as to walk over to the podium during commissioner comments. I realize it's a little bit, but in case I miss something that you would like to address as well, we can tag team on this commissioner comment section. So as you were informed, there was a meeting this last Wednesday for the residents within Jackson County that have an interest in the county's park at Lime Lake and the breach of the area between the South Lake and Third Lake. I was very pleased and impressed with our resourceful people that were there at the meeting. Scott has gone above and beyond his duties and as Director of Parks and Rec, or Parks and Fair, in making sure the residents' voices were heard, that it was a very professional presentation. Paul Rentschler from ASTI, Mike Way, our Parks and Rec Board Chair, Drain Commissioner Jeff Snyder was there. We also had a local Spring Arbor biologist, a resident professor that was sitting on as a resourceful person, as well as our county sheriff, undersheriff were there to answer questions on the law enforcement aspect of this breach. So just want you to know that that went well. We got some good media coverage as well, and we continue to work on this concerning and alarming issue out that way. Scott, would you like to add anything, please?
I just think it was an opportunity to, I guess, put on the table exactly what we want to accomplish there with that breach, and having other citizens that were there that not normally were in the loop, besides the residents of North Lake. We had about 20 residents there, and there were people that I had not met before, but I think it was a good way of getting the word out to the public of how we're going to manage restoring that fen. Paul Rentschler from ASTI Environmental is in the process of designing what we consider to be a temporary cofferdam that we're going to be working on immediately. That cofferdam will then be part of the permanent solution, which will be a design that will be resubmitted, which is a modification to the DEQ, and that should be going forward probably probably next week, and the timeline on that will be obviously with the pace at which they can review the plans and hopefully approve those plans, and then modify the current, what would be then the temporary cofferdam into a permanent structure, thus filling the entire fen, raising the water table level in that fen to restore it, but at the same time too, then we're proposing a boardwalk system, which is a short transition from South Lake to what we call Peppermint Springs that allow people that either have a kayak or a canoe to take a hard surface transition from South Lake over to Peppermint Lake, then transition into Third Lake. And hopefully that process will allow them to not have any more trampling of the area or what they believe was a trenching of that fen, thus causing the breach in the first place.
Two items. The most important, though, is the fair starts on August 3rd. Everybody, I think all the commissioners should go to see Denise, grab a handful or two handfuls of the fair brochures and start dropping them off at your party stores or gas stations or wherever you are in your district. I've got to stop and get some more. I put some in the Munith restaurant a month ago, and the guy said they were gone in a week, so I'm got to get some more and get them out there. The other thing is, I think Adam sent us an email on the Henrietta Road Commission land swap or land deal that they're talking about. Read that. Is it on the agenda for one of the things on Monday? Okay. I think it's probably important to both the county and the township, so study that.
Any other comment? Apparently not. Meeting adjourned.